we view ourselves as a team that is right in the thick in the West. We have a lot of confidence in this group. We think that in adding Luke Kennard, we address, probably the biggest need on our roster, which is adding someone who's not just a shooter, but also a scorer. I think the way that Luke has been used in the past, if you look at his last year in Detroit, where he had the ball in his hands a lot more too, having someone who can add another level of dynamism to the offense and definitely just open up the floor more. We want to surround John and the rest of the group with as much shooting as we possibly can. And now with Luke Kennard and Dez, we have two of the very best shooters in the league. So we're excited about the look that gives us, and we're ready to go out, compete the rest of the way, and we view ourselves as a team that has a chance to compete for a championship this season.
With the current, roster layout, you have all your standard contract, spots, the two-way spots.
Yep.
Do you see the Grizzlies in any way being a factor in the buyout market?
I don't.
And just so, with the roster that you have now, Dillon Brooks in particular, is the guy that a lot of people are talking about going into the deadline.
Yep.
What's your perspective on one, his future with the team beyond this season? And we saw a couple of guys get extensions before the season. I know you don't want to get into details, but is he someone that you feel like can be a long-term part of this roster?
Yeah, Dillon Brooks is a huge part of this team. Dillon Brooks is not someone who was shopped or anything to that effect at the deadline. He's someone who we view, as a critical component of this group, and very much, hope and could see him playing a big role for us for years to come.
When you were evaluating just what to do at this deadline, how much did, the fact that you guys were having kind of your worst patch of the season going into the deadline, like how did you factor that into both, whether it's specific players like Dillon or just in general your strategy going into the deadline? Like how much did you weigh that? How much weight did you put on it?
Yeah, I think it's really important not to overreact, but I think it's important to react. I think you take all of the information that's in front of you, not just from the last 10 games, not just the last 20 games. You look at the entirety of the season, and you just have an honest conversation with yourself of, with this group, what we have today, where do we have weaknesses? Where could, we have opportunities to improve the group for this year, to improve, our chances to compete for a title right now, and to add someone in Luke that we're really excited is under contract beyond this year and could be someone that, grows with this group as well. We're really excited about his fit there.
Would it be fair to say you approached this deadline differently than previous ones based on, like, you think this team is, ready to compete for a championship now as opposed to maybe previous years where you didn't, they were younger?
Yeah, I think there's some misconceptions there. I think at any point in time, including at this deadline, we were very willing to be aggressive to maybe even overly aggressive if we could get the right player. There have been deals that we explored very aggressively at past deadlines for players that we would have been thrilled to, have that could have helped us, then and beyond. At this deadline, there were, several guys where we made offers that if they were accepted, y'all would have said, wow, you guys were over, you guys went way too far, in what you would have done there. But the reason we would explore opportunities, like that is because we have a ton of belief in this group. And if they're, I think Luke is going to be very significant, in what he adds to this group. But if there were, an additional player or players that we could have added to this group that would have, taken us to a different level as a team now and into the future, it takes two to make a deal, but we would have and tried to be incredibly aggressive. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, when you lose games, everyone, how do we pull ourselves out? How do we, just get back to playing, Grizzlies basketball? We have one of the youngest teams in the NBA still. We have, in NBA history, we have one of the youngest teams that is competing at the level that this team is competing. We're sitting, right now still at second in the West, and there's like I've probably said ad nauseum at this point, that this is not linear, especially, when you've got a bunch of guys in their early 20s, and credit to them. I'd much rather have a bunch of guys that believe in themselves and have confidence in themselves that they're going to go out and do something special together. I back them 100%, and yeah, I mean, there's going to be growing pains. It's not going to be linear to get to where we want to get to, but we're going to get there.
Zach, they say some guys have preferred destinations or where they want to be traded to and things like that.
Yep.
From your experience, have you noticed, like, sometimes, basically no matter what you offer, when a guy prefers to go somewhere else, there's nothing you can do?
There are a couple things there. I mean, I think it's been fantastic to see over the last few years from where we started to the point where we're at now that the idea of joining the Grizzlies is something that I think is very exciting to players around the league, and in a way that I've honestly never seen in the past. And I think that's a testament to the guys that we have, especially the core guys in that locker room. At the same time, I mean you can't force a player to want to join a team, and there's those dynamics out there at times.
Now, the Grizzlies have done a great job with developing talent. Not this year, but next year it's going to get real tricky. How do you determine who you decide to advance and who you decide to let go, because you have so much young talent in the pipeline?
Yeah, carefully. We're going to be honest with ourselves and honest about our group every step of the way. Who are the guys that we want to invest in going forward? There have been really difficult decisions we've made in the past, quite a few times already, moving off of young players who, we felt like we're good fits, but we've stuck with the guys that we feel most confident in, being difference makers in playoff basketball. Again, what we focused on this last offseason, what we focused on now, and what we're going to focus on going forward is how do we position our team to be the best team that we can be in playoff basketball. And adding shooting, is certainly a significant element of that.
You mentioned Dillon earlier and how you see him as potentially, you can get him signed in the offseason. What have you made of his season so far? Because it seemed like he was, on the right path early, but obviously the last month or so, offensively, he's not been.
I'm proud of the progress that Dillon's making in a lot of ways. His assist rate is up. He's trying to make the right plays. I think, especially lately, the quality of shots that he's taken has trended in a very positive direction. They're just not falling lately, and it's a make or miss league, so everyone's gonna react and at times I think overreact to. Are the shots actually going in or not? But I think Dillon's process has been really good. I think he's focused on, trying to round out his game and be a contributor to a team that gets to where we want to get to.
It seems like overall, I mean, you were touching on it earlier that there may be some misconceptions on your aggressiveness, at the trade deadlines before this and this year. I just wanted to ask if you could speak a little bit more on, what you meant by that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we're solely focused on is how do we bring a championship to Memphis. That's what we're motivated by. Now we're trying to build that in a sustainable way, and I think we've done that. But there's nothing about building a team sustainably that forecloses us from going out and being incredibly aggressive, trading draft picks or what we need to trade to acquire guys that would be true difference makers that we could add to our core. So we certainly there were several ways in which we looked at moves like that. We're aggressive, making offers like that at this deadline. But this isn't the first time we've explored moves like that.